So let's look a little deeper into the namespace and storage layer for Ozone. In Ozone, the namespace comprises of volume, buckets, and keys. Every volume would have multiple buckets, and every bucket would have multiple keys. Volumes are similar to what we have as user admin or user accounts in Azure Data Lake storage. So an admin can set quota or policies on these volumes, and all the buckets and keys inside the volume would have to follow those policies. Buckets are keys, and keys are similar to what we have in S3. Directories in bucket are not real, as in Ozone does not support atomic rename today, but this feature is close to complete and would be available in the next Ozone release. Ozone is strongly consistent. The renames and encryption are only allowed at the bucket level. Further, the ACLs are supported at volume, bucket, or directory level in Ozone. Although ACLs are supported at directory level, we do not really recommend setting ACLs in nested directories. This can hinder the performance of recursive APIs. Further, Ozone also supports Ranger-based prefix policies. The namespace can be accessed using the Hadoop file system or S3 API. So as we had looked earlier, Ozone Manager keeps only a working set in memory. So in order to reduce the cache miss latency time, it is recommended to use SSD disk for storing the Ozone metadata. The metadata in Ozone Manager is committed to local docsdb instance. Further, the metadata is replicated using Graph protocol across multiple Ozone Manager services. So for every metadata request, it is replicated to all the Ozone Manager services. And once the Ozone managers have received the metadata request, it is committed to the local docsdb instance. In future, sharding can be done at bucket or volume level. Currently, Ozone supports 10 billion keys without sharding. Let's dive a little deeper into the storage layer now. So as we had seen or discussed in the architecture section, that the storage layer is strictly separate from namespace layer in Ozone. Some high-level concepts: the storage layer comprises of containers. Containers are stored in data nodes, and data nodes are entirely managed by a storage container manager in Ozone. A container is a set of blocks. By default, the container size is 5 GB. This size is configurable, so an admin can use a higher size or even a lower size for container. An open container, which is receiving the write request, all these write requests are replicated using the Raft protocol. Further, every container has a unique container ID. This container ID is assigned by storage container manager. Every block inside the container has a local ID. So block ID is basically a combination of container ID and local ID. Local ID is specific to the container. Storage Container Manager is the management service. It is the one responsible for handling the addition and deletion of nodes. It receives container reports from data nodes and makes sure that the containers are sufficiently replicated. And in any time, if it finds that the replicas are missing, it would schedule replications for those containers such that they meet the minimum replication factor. Further, SCM also maintains a container map, which is a mapping from container IDs to set of data nodes containing the container. As we had discussed earlier, HDFS and Ozone data nodes can coexist and use the same physical storage. So now let's look at the structure of storage container. A container in Ozone would comprise of a RocksDB instance as well as the files containing the data. So RocksDB is used to store the metadata related to blocks. Every block ID is, there is a mapping from block ID to the metadata related to that block. So metadata would be checksum and the file the files in which the block data is stored. There are some optimizations which can be done in the container structure. So one optimization is small blocks which are less than 1 MB in size can be stored directly in RocksDB. Another optimization which can be done is multiple blocks can be stored in a single file. So both of these optimizations would help in reducing the number of files in the data node and would therefore help in increasing the scale at which Ozone cluster can operate. There are two main states in which a container can exist. So one is the open state. In open state, container is receiving write requests from clients, and these write requests are being replicated using the RAF protocol. So Ozone, the storage container manager, makes sure that all the data nodes are receiving or sharing the load equally in the cluster. So it would always make sure that the number of containers are a proportion of number of spindles into number of data nodes. Data is therefore spread across all data nodes. Then there is a closed state. Whenever a container reaches the default size or its configured size, or if data node sees a failure or there is a failure in the write path, then SCM would make sure that the container is closed. Closing a container gives the guarantee of immutability, and it is easier for SCM to handle recovery cases, knowing the final state of the container. So since we have talked about RAF replication, and RAF is used for both data and metadata replication in Ozone. So Ozone uses Apache Ratis for RAF replication. Apache Ratis is a Java implementation of RAF consensus protocol. And there is a library which Ratis exposes. In case of a container write, there is a data node Ratis server running in every data node. So since every container is being written to a set of data nodes, there would be a Ratis server running in those data nodes. And the Ratis server would be accepting the write request from the clients. That is the write chunk request. On receiving the write chunk request, there is a designated leader amongst these data nodes. And the leader would send the write chunk request to the followers. On receiving acknowledgement from the followers, leader would respond to the Ratis client. This is the Ratis client is running is the API which is being called by Ozone client. So on receiving the response, the Ozone client can be sure that the data is replicated to the data nodes. Further, in Ratis server, there is a state machine. So open containers have their own state machine implementation, that is the data nodes. The state machine handles the write chunk request or the metadata committing request for the block files. Similarly, as we have seen, the metadata is also replicated using RAF protocol. So this same configuration is being run by Ozone Manager. So multiple Ozone Manager services are replicating the metadata. They have their own state machine implementation, which is handling the metadata request for Ozone. That can be something like create volume, create bucket, create key. All of these requests are going through to all the Ozone managers, and they are being committed. These requests are committed to the Ratis log. So Ratis log is the sanity log for Ratis, which And any commit to the Rapist log in all the servers would make sure that the request is committed, and that guarantees the consistency of the Raft protocol. So as we have discussed, the Raft replication is used for both data and metadata. So Raft is traditionally used for small updates and transactions. It was not designed for heavy data write, but Ozone uses the Raft replication for data write due to the consistency guarantees. So there were some optimizations which were made in order for write requests to be supported using Raft. So when writing the data, so since we know that container is 5 GB in size, it is the data writes happen directly to the data node, and it does not happen to the Raft log. So this avoids double write of the data. Further optimization is that the journal log, the Raft log, can be stored in a separate disk. So this makes sense. The Raft log is a write-ahead log. It reduces the number of seeks happening in the disk. So now let's look at the security, how secure an Ozone cluster is. All Ozone services, Ozone Manager, Storage Container Manager, Data Node, Recon, S3 Gateway, all of these services today support Kerberos. Ozone Manager also supports delegation tape token and block token. So this is also the Hadoop security model. Since we know that Ozone Manager would be servicing 100,000 clients, authenticating all these client requests via Kerberos is not really feasible for Ozone Manager. Hence, the Ozone Manager uses the delegation token and block token. Similarly, S3 Gateway supports S3 secret. Further, Ozone supports encryption, that is the at-rest data encryption and over-the-wire encryption. In at-rest, the at-rest data encryption is supported at bucket level. So every bucket would have a corresponding encryption key. Then every object inside the bucket would also have its own encryption key. These encryption keys are today stored in Apache Ranger KMS service. Most of the encryption code has been reused from STFS. For over-the-wire data encryption, this can be enabled using the config Ozone gRPC TLS enable. So at a high level, this is how the architecture for Ozone looks like. We have S3 gateways. S3 gateways handle the request which are coming from the S3 protocol. There is a load balancer running, which makes sure that the any requests coming via S3 protocol are equally distributed to the S3 gateways. The S3 gateways have an internal Ozone client running, which is talking to which is accessing the Ozone Manager. And the S3 gateways today are running on every data node. So this makes sure that there is sufficiently load balancing in the cluster. Then we have the metadata services, Ozone Manager, Storage Container Manager. S3 buckets can be accessed using the S3 protocol. Further, Kubernetes container can mount an S3 bucket via Fuse. Big data and non-big data applications can access Ozone using the Hadoop compatible file system API or S3 API. So some of the primary use cases for Ozone, in case a customer wants to use S3 API, they can use Ozone. Then if a customer needs dense data nodes, that is, the Ozone can support up to 400 TB per data node. So in case a user wants to use dense data nodes in the cluster, then private cloud customers or hybrid cloud customers, those who want a hybrid architecture, they can also use ozone. And people who are running into HDFS scale limits, they can make use of ozone services. Ozone has a very strong open source community. So in the community, Tencent is running a 1,000 node cluster, and Bloomberg and Target are other open source contributors. So the cluster running at Tencent is running real workloads. Further, there is a reference architecture from Cisco, Dell, and HP for Ozone. There are around 150 committers and developers which are actively contributing to Ozone. Ozone, the latest release is 1.1.0, and the first GA release was 1.0.0. So today, Ozone supports replication, high availability, security, encryption, upgrades. It has been tested with the big data applications like Hive, Spark, Impala. In future, there would be support for erasure coding and snapshots. In the testing, Ozone has an extensive suite of unit tests, functional tests, and integration tests. There is fault injection testing by failing the data nodes or disk, network delays. So all those have also been tested with Ozone. So as we had discussed, multiple big data applications have been tested and they run really well. Then there are long-running clusters, performance and scale tests. Ozone has been tested with 10 billion objects, and it is able to scale up to 10 billion objects. Then Cisco 350 terabyte data node was tested and with Cisco hardware. Please reach out to me. My email is ljan@apache.org in case of any queries or feedback. Thank you.